and welcome to State of Business on Art Television. I am Savindri Javardhana. Let's look at the headlines for the day. LPT Pradesh Sabha election held today with over 75% voter turnout. Governor explains the reasons for maintaining the lending and deposit rates. News in detail. Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, Dr. Indrajit Kumaraswamy states that the standing deposit facility rate and the standing lending facility rate of the Central Bank at their current levels of 7% and 8% will be maintained respectively. Thus, addressing the press conference today morning, Governor Kumaraswamy extensively explained as to why the rates are maintained.
Then, in terms of the domestic factors, we continue to have an output gap. That growth is below the potential growth rate of 5%. The various forecasts or the projections for growth this year vary from about 2.5 to 3%. The various organizations you would have seen have made forecasts. But the fact is that there is an output gap, which again argues for some relaxation of policy. Moderate private sector growth and moderate broad money aggregate growth, that's again argues for relaxation. But factors arguing for holding rates and being cautious are the expected upward pressure, the transitory pressure on inflation in the short run. We expect it to stabilize in the medium term in the middle of our inflation target range. But as I said, in the short run, it's likely to go up towards the upper bound of the target. Then the pressure from time to time on the currency, and also the need to provide time to see what the impact is going to be on the various measures that have already been taken. So all those things argue for a holding of the rates. And as I said, the one factor that argues for a tightening of rates is these wage increases that are coming. So having taken all these things into account, the Monetary Board decided to leave policy rates as they are.
Further, Central Bank Governor Dr. Kumaraswamy also highlighted that slow global economic growth also led to the relaxation of monetary policy.
Overall, there is a synchronized slowdown, and in fact, the new managing director of the IMF, Kristalina Georgieva, has indicated that 90% of the countries in the world will have slower growth this year. So, which is why there is this perception that there is a synchronized slowdown in the global economy. That clearly argues for some relaxation of monetary policy because it gives us space for domestic policy action. Unlike in, say, 2018, when the external environment was such that we were having capital outflows which constrained the space for domestic monetary policy action, and now we do have greater space.
The LPT Pradesh Sabha election held from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. today, and the voter turnout for the LPT Pradesh Sabha election was reported as over 75%. The election officers and monitoring groups stated that the election at LPT Pradesh Sabha was largely peaceful. The first stage of counting commenced around 4:30 p.m. at the polling stations itself. The Commission of Elections announced that the overall results will be announced before 10 p.m. tonight. A total of 53,384 voters were eligible to cast their votes at the election, which took place at 47 polling stations. Among the 155 candidates from recognized political parties who contested for the election, only 28 will be elected as Pradesh Sabha members. The Ministry of Finance announced that the fuel prices will not be subjected to any revisions as per the fuel pricing formula for this month. However, the Lanka Indian Oil Company yesterday declared a decrease in petrol prices with effect from last night. The Lanka Indian Oil Company yesterday declared a reduction in petrol prices with effect from last night. Thus, according to the revision, the price of Lanka petrol 92 octane and extra premium Euro 3 petrol went down by 2 rupees per litre. Accordingly, LP 92 and extra premium Euro 3 petrol are sold at 142 rupees and 148 rupees, while a litre of extra premium 95 Euro 4 petrol is sold at 164 rupees. No changes in Lanka Auto Diesel, Extra Premium 95 Petrol, Lanka Super Diesel Euro 4 and Extra Mild Diesel are made. The ambassador of Afghanistan to Sri Lanka, M. Ashraf Haidari, commended Sri Lanka's speedy recovery after Easter Sunday terror attacks and vowed to render cooperation against confrontation in order to preserve security in the region. The ambassador made these remarks celebrating the 100th anniversary of the Independence Day of the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan held in Colombo yesterday.
The government of Afghanistan commends the able leadership of His Excellency President Sirisana and His Excellency Prime Minister Bakram Sanghe on taking effective security measures to have swiftly stabilized the situation following the Easter attacks. We are delighted that Sri Lanka's tourism industry has begun recovering fast, as well as its overall economy. At the same time, it's noteworthy that under a stable political environment, millions of registered Sri Lankan voters will go to the polls on November 16th to elect their next leader, and we just saw the rally. Despite occasional challenges, Sri Lanka's democracy has demonstrated to be vibrant and steadily grown resilient and aspiring younger democracies such as that of Afghanistan. Ladies and gentlemen, as two democracies, Afghanistan and Sri Lanka share many development needs and challenges. This underpins our growing ties, which enjoy the support of both countries' leadership.
Stay tuned for more news after this break. Welcome back after the break. Now let's look at the latest happenings on the political side. Presidential candidate of New Democratic Front and Minister of Housing and Construction and Cultural Affairs Sajid Premadasa states that decision-making processes and policies should be guided by statistics for those to be effective. Thus, Minister Premadasa made these remarks at the Mega Minds Forum held in Colombo last Wednesday. Policymakers and experts of various spheres. Speaking at the event, New Democratic Front presidential candidate Sajid Premadasa said that he would introduce an artificial intelligence management dashboard at the presidential secretariat, executing new and modern concepts to address the day-to-day issues of the general public. He resonated on technology-based governance that will ensure efficient and productive governance.
For sound public policy decision making, it is essential and indispensable that we ensure such decision-making processes are guided and structured in a manner where relevant statistics and substance are used as important ingredients in the policy-making decision process. If our country is to move on to the next stage of inclusive growth, if we are to spearhead our process of achieving prosperity for all, it is imperative that we take this opportunity to utilize the modern decision-making approaches to the maximum possible extent in order to ensure that there's efficiency and productivity in the system of government.
UPFA parliamentarian Lakshman Yapa Abeyewardena says the SLPP presidential candidate Gotabaya Rajapaksa will record a significant victory with a percentage of 65%. He made these remarks addressing a media briefing held at the SLPP head office in Battaramulla this morning together with MPs Dilan Pereira and Susantha Punchnilame. Badulla district parliamentarian Dilan Pereira, addressing the media, said that an overall victory of an election is decided by the result of the three districts, namely Colombo, Gampaha and Kandy. The parliamentarian added that 7 independent surveys already have proved that SLPP candidate Gotabaya Rajapaksa will win all 3 districts with a guarantee for the final result of the presidential election. Parliamentarian Lakshman Yapa Abeyewardena said that a new government to be set up under the leadership of Gotabaya Rajapaksa will prioritize the rural economy as well as the domestic economy. He also said a new government will also stop the re-export of spices completely. He pointed out that some instances where spices such as pepper were imported from other countries and sold later to another country under the label of Sri Lanka. Abeyewardena said that this in vain has brought a black mark on the local farmer and Sri Lankan products. Meanwhile, Trincomalee District UPFA parliamentarian Susantha Punchinilame, who also addressed the media, refused the rumours spreading that he would be joining in the opposite camp. The National Development Front vows to execute amendments to the Constitution to dismiss the 13th Amendment to scrap the current provincial council system. Moreover, several key policy decisions were also put forward by the party at the media briefing held yesterday. The National Development Front states that its presidential candidate Dr. Rohan Paliwata is the only presidential candidate who announced 3 years ago that he will contest at the 2019 presidential election, when other main candidates couldn't announce their decisions even before 3 months prior to giving nominations. The party delivered 3 key party policies that they would implement if their party leader gets selected at the election. Party assured to bring amendments to extend the retirement age of all Sri Lanka armed forces and police officers who were in duty during the war period of 1983 to 2009 for 75, dismissing the pension of all parliamentarians while allocating a special allowance on requirement basis, and vowing to execute amendments to the constitution to dismiss the 13th Amendment so that the provincial councils will be dismissed, are several other policies that were informed. Significantly, scrapping the indirect taxes imposed on food items to reduce the cost of living and fortifying the current free education system were also some of the important policies announced at yesterday's media briefing. Former chairman of the Securities Exchange Commission of Sri Lanka, Dr. Nalaka Gudaheva, says that the present government has presented 9 different economic policies within last 5 years, and it clearly shows that they did not have an economic policy at all. Dr. Gudaheva also points out the reasons for them to fail in the economic management, addressing another Vyatmaka seminar which was held in Colombo yesterday.
The first one is the lack of direction at the top and the mismatch. 2 parties came together, 2 groups came together, holding completely 2 different ideologies. They never matched. So they couldn't go together. And even within that ideology, they didn't have a policy, they didn't have a plan. If you look at the current government, from 2015 to 2018, I have counted 9 different economic policies presented by these leaders at various different forums. How can you have 9 different economic policies within 5 years? That means you have absolutely no policy whatsoever. The second one is the way they started. They got it all wrong. When they came to power, instead of focusing on the economic development, instead of taking it forward, they started focusing on their political enemies. They wanted to suppress the opposition. That was the focus. The last 5 years, the only thing they were doing was trying to suppress political opponents. So the focus was elsewhere. So that is why they couldn't concentrate on the economy.
Now, a review on the performance in the Colombo stock market for the past week and a forecast for the coming week will be brought to you by a subject expert at First Capital Holdings.
The stock market was on a positive sentiment throughout the week, with the ASPI closing at a near 4-week high on Thursday. Continued foreign selling dominated the market amidst the ambiguous political climate hovering above us with the upcoming presidential election. Turnover levels for the week was near this year's daily average of Rs 660 million. Foreign selling was mostly centered on banking and diversified stocks. We expect market to slow down with the ambiguity caused by the island-wide presidential campaigns coupled with the release of upcoming company quarterly statements this week. Foreign participation is expected to continue on a low note amidst the current politically uncertain environment. Turnover level is likely to be moderate with continuous activity in the market, especially driven by the low interest rate environment.
Stay tuned for stock updates after this break. Welcome back after the break. Trading at Colombo Stock Exchange ended on a positive note today. The All-Share Price Index gained 20.22 points to close at 5,834.66 and the S&P SL20 gained 1.67 points to close at 2,866.44. The turnover was 1.1 billion rupees and over 92 million shares were traded. Up next are Forex rates. That's all news for today. Do join us tomorrow with this roundup. Until then, take care. Good night.